Culture TV is the place to be, offering a variety of your favorite movies, food and travel shows, urban documentaries, and even independent shows as well. All on your Roku and Fire TV. Yeah, I know, all that sounds way too good to be true. Well, what if I told you it was?
You know what really makes me laugh? I used to think that my life was a tragedy.
So get ready, get prepared. What do you have to do? Do you have to read some books? Do you have to work out a little more? Do you have to meditate a little more? But whatever you do, be prepared for the purpose.
Hey. It's Tuesday, and tonight's episode is a viewer's request to discuss grief during the holidays. Tonight, we have best-selling author Tiffany S. Carter, who will be discussing her book, Broken, 7 Steps to Healing While Grieving, and some ways she has coped with grief. So we're going to jump right in. Bringing Miss Tiffany Carter in.
Hello.
Hey. How are you this evening?
I'm absolutely fine.
That is wonderful. So we're just going to jump right on in. So Tiffany, tell us about the real Tiffany S. Carter. Where you from? Where you at? How did you get there?
Well, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. That's where I was born and I was raised. But I stay by way now. I stay back and forth between Atlanta and Huntsville, Alabama.
Okay, so she being shy tonight, audience. So we're gonna let her have that. You know, she's normally the bubbly one on here harassing her guests, but I'll let her have it tonight.
I harass my guests. No.
I'll let her have it tonight. I'll let her have it tonight. So we're gonna jump right in, Miss Tiffany, and I want you to tell us, a little bit of something about your book, Broken, 7 Steps to Healing While Grieving.
Well, too, when I tell you where I'm from, I'll tell you, thank you. And thank you to all the viewers that continue to show support to this channel. And please share this video if you know someone who's grieving during the holidays, during the pandemic. It's been a lot of things happening. So maybe this show will touch somebody. So therefore, when I had to think a little bit. I'm in a different chair, so I had to think a little bit. So, but when you talk about who am I and where I'm from, I'm from Atlanta, where crime is pretty high there, and so upon that, with natural death and everything that's happened, it led me into the I had experienced a lot of death. I've been to over 100 funerals. And I actually didn't think that was nothing wrong with that, but I knew it was unsettling.
Yes.
But, when you're in the environment of like death, you kind of, until you go outside of that environment, and not until I got into the insurance industry as an insurance broker, did I really realize the magnitude, not only from my personal grief, but the grieving of others and people around me. And I was enlightened on like people really need resources when they go through those things, Tim. You said your daughter died. Like, yes, and it's a lot of things that people go through, but grief is something that is so it has so many stages of it. So, I'ma stop right then and there. And I'm so sorry about that, Tom. I hope you get some type of healing. Again, this is my book, Broken, 7 Steps to Healing While Grieving. And you can get that link on my page. It's on Amazon. It's on ckmhcg.com/products. So it's a lot of ways that you can get this book in your hand. But as far as when you're talking about grieving, I realize that's one thing that everybody is probably going to experience now.
Yeah.
You might have not never experienced it before, but at some point in your life, you're going to grieve. And at some point in your life, it's going to be a different levels of grief. And that's what I realized in the passing of my father. There were different levels. I don't care how many funerals I went to. That was the hardest funeral I've ever went to in my life, and that was still the hardest death that I ever had to go through.
So is that by chance what inspired you to write your book?
Oh, absolutely. That made me, because I was going to come out with another book, not knowing that the pandemic was going to come.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know anything. So I would definitely say that these are ordered steps by God, because I wanted to put out something else, more motivating and more, not saying that grief, but I mean, grief has like that downsides in the conversation. Like, it brings like that storm in the car, like, everything could have been cheerful, and people was like, oh, when you start talking about death, it's like, oh, because they know it's a point, it's something that still is so many questions, but it is some answers, but it might not be in the way that you think them. And every day it's a different answer and a different question about it. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. So at what point did you feel like you were able to make, your way back after your father's passing?
I had I tell people about some steps in my book about different things of just getting you out of that, downward slump, because in the grieving process, it's like you're either going to keep going down, 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 or you're going to have to find ways to pick yourself up, up, up.
Mm-hmm.
So the things that I say, and I'm still learning every day how to identify grief, because this pandemic has uncovered another level of grief for me that and for a lot of people. But as far as, a thing that I know that I did was I changed where I stay, because I mean, sometimes when you lose a loved one and you still stay around the places that are familiar, it can keep rehearsing over memories that for a while you need to let that go in order to let yourself heal. Sometimes you have to remove yourself. So sometimes even when people talk to me, clients or whatever, and they say, I want to sell my house after their spouse died, I said, that's something that you absolutely can do. And you probably should, because sometimes you just can't heal where it's hurting you. Everything about that area is going to remind you of that purpose. And a lot of times you have to unlock new things to do to keep you going in grief, because I mean, grief will eat away at you if you let it, it will.
Yep. I definitely agree. And with all of that, you're finding your way back. What were some of the practices, your regimen that you would suggest, others to do if they feel like their grief and loss has become so overwhelming, like they just don't know where to turn to?
First and foremost, I would be like, God. That's the first story. God, without God, I wouldn't have made it, because it's a lot of times, it's a lot of lonely days, it's a lot of lonely nights that you have to go through and be within your thoughts of what you could have, should have done. And first and foremost, I need people to acknowledge what has happened, because a lot of times people want to look over that thing and they want to go to the next thing. I'm okay. I'm all right. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to be okay. And it may take you a minute to regroup, meaning you may have to, like I had to start getting up early in the morning, starting my day more. Don't make yourself more frustrated. Like just showing up on time, because anything while you're grieving will make you flip over. Anything. That's why you have to be very careful communicating with people, buying things, because you're in an emotional state that's not really a healthy state, that I would say, because I mean, your life just probably fell apart and you didn't even know it. Who knows the day that somebody's gonna die? If everybody knew this day. But I don't care, even if someone is terminally ill, you're never fully prepared when it comes to your door. It's easy to comfort the next person, but when it hits you, just like Tim just said, my daughter died. That's like, you don't want to hear be strong. You don't want to hear you're gonna have, you got other, especially when people have other kids. You have other kids, but you only had that one child, that one bond. And that's how I felt like, when my dad died, people would say, like, at least you had time with your dad. But I didn't think I had enough, So it's always a downside to that. So you got to be very aware. But also, I would say, God, I meditate. I've been meditating for 7 years. I am so grateful for that part of my life, because I do have devotion, but meditation is kind of like, God talking to you. God, you're getting downloads of what you need to be. And through grief, I wouldn't have been through to the levels that I'm reaching, because through the brokenness and the pain, that's where I found power, which equals purpose.
Yeah, and you said something so relevant. So you just never know when it's gonna knock on your door. And with this pandemic, I mean, like, it has taken multiple family members. I mean, wiping away generations, and just, and I know it has to be overwhelming for those individuals that are losing relatives week after week or month after month. And I know it can take its toll. And so for those people, like, what would you say? How does Broken, 7 steps to healing while grieving, how can that, what are some of those steps that could truly help those individuals?
Well, I can definitely say, I know it's public information, but I have a friend and sister. She was an author with me. She just really just lost basically most of her family, her brother-in-law, her sister, her dad, and she just lost her mom. So in situations like that, first, address it, because I can't experience that anguish. You understand? Yeah. But what I do know, if you have to scream till you can't scream no more, if you have to cry till you can't cry no more, if you have to pull away to some of the social sites, you can stop delivering for people as long as you show up for yourself. Let me tell y'all that again. You can stop delivering for people as long as you're showing up for yourself, because we made it in society. It's either this way or that way. Like, either you're stingy or you're an overgiver. What about the balance of it? Because sometimes you do need to give, and sometimes you need to give back to yourself, because it's like water. If I keep drinking the water out of a cup, it's going to go empty. So around these times, delicate, sensitive time, because they are sensitive, like you're holding a sensitive, like what it says on the box. You have to be around people who are going to handle you sensitively, like people who are going to respect your boundaries, respect your feelings, respect the fact, people that you can be vulnerable around, because you cannot be vulnerable when you're really grieving. A lot of people take advantage of people's vulnerability. Sad but true. As a life insurance, I've seen it. I've seen it from clergy, with my clients. Oh, you need to give this to no, you shouldn't be making any rational moves, financial moves. You should think about things to its entirety, because you need to know this is the healed version that wants to do whatever this versus the broken version, because the broken version of yourself will make a lot of bad mistakes.
Yeah. And you said something key. Yep. Set boundaries for yourself to allow yourself to heal. Like that's most definitely required in instances of it. So I know we have a lot more coming. Tiffany is going to bring a lot more, what her book is conveying, how she has evolved since the book, and other information right after this commercial break. Don't you go anywhere.
Culture TV is the place to be, offering a variety of your favorite movies, food and travel shows, urban documentaries, and even independent shows as well. All on your Roku and Fire TV. Yeah, I know, all that sounds way too good to be true. Well, What if I told you it was?
You know what really makes me laugh? I used to think that my life was a tragedy.
So get ready, get prepared. What do you have to do? Do you have to read some books? Do you have to work out a little more? Do you have to meditate a little more? But whatever you do, be prepared for the purpose.
Okay, we're back. So we're going to pick up where we left off. Yes, ma'am. So I know you talked about, the passing of your father, how you're still going through grief in different stages, how you meditate and things of those nature. But, how, if at all, has your ability to cope with grief evolved since you wrote your book?
I mean, it helped me to get a wider perspective because now I hear from people all over the world about different things that they're grieving. And I guess it kind of goes back to a lot of times I say your life isn't your own because I took the empathetic approach with this book versus I'm not a licensed therapist or nothing. I just can tell you this is what I went through. This is how I got through. And this is how I'm telling you, you don't have to take my word for it, but from what I hear, it's better to take it for somebody with empathy versus sympathy because they could just be telling you what they think versus, hey, I know days that you're going to feel like not getting up. I know, but one thing that I say, this book gives me strength because when I go back and read these words, I didn't know we were going to go through a pandemic. I also didn't know that I was going to lose so many family members and so many of my friends that were so young in these last 12 months. I also didn't know that on top of all that, people still were going to be getting killed from violence. They still were going to get in car accidents. It's just, this has been like through the pandemic, it has definitely broadened my perspective and it also my awareness of also mental illness, things of that just, continues to happen in society and realizing that you just don't take any day for granted, especially in 2021. I mean, as the world has embarked on so many difficult things. I mean, like I tell you, I don't even know what this level of grief is called because I can't even recollect a lot of people, who's died. And I was like, who's passed in these last 12 months. It's been so many people that it's like, wow, them too, them too. And it's like, these are actual people. These are actual families that are going to be affected this holiday season. This is their first holiday without their mom. This is their first holiday without their dad, their spouse, their child. This pandemic has just wiped through the world so crazily, but it's also left us with a bunch of scars and wounds that's called grief. How do you heal from the grief and the pain?
Especially those family members that have lost multiple people, and this
Right.
is their first holiday season without several members of their family. And so for those in your book, Broken, the 7 Steps to Healing While Grieving, what from your book could you provide them? Something from your book that might give them some assistance during this time?
Well, first I'll tell them because I know it's gonna be a lot of tears shed, and I think I said that on a live 2 weeks ago because I just what's going on, but I want them to not give up. And then one of my steps in here, hold on, I didn't. Is first a lot of people say, why me, God? Why would you have this happen to me? That's okay to ask God that. Ask him that so that you can hear what he says. And then also, like I said, put yourself around people. If you have to go out a little more, interact with people, make yourself sociable. If it's somebody from your church, from your job, don't just be in the house on Thanksgiving. Or if you're at home, invite a couple of friends over, play a couple of games, card games, do a little couple of karaoke, but just make sure you're around people. Don't sit there. Open up your blinds, get out the bed, take a shower. Because I'm telling you, this is going to be real because suicide is the highest around the holidays. So this is something that's in the statistics. This is not nothing nobody made up. So if it was high already before the pandemic, we're just going before the storm like, hey, these are areas. I have therapists on my line. Hey, even if you have to say, hey, Tiffany, pray for me, but get around people who feeds your spirit and your soul, that creates the healing that you need. Stop being around people that keeps you sad. And then look at comedy. Stop watching, like, it's enough drama. And, change up what you're watching and what you're feeding your spirit. I told somebody I stopped watching TV for real. I just really started back because I needed something else to do. But I see what it did to my mind to stop watching TV for a while, because you have enough drama in your life. I don't want to see nobody else crying, honey. This is a drama show. Going through the grief process is a whole story, the whole journey. I need to focus on my healing, and I need to do those things that make me feel great and that inspire me to keep moving upwards, not downward.
Yeah, and I agree with all of that. So before we close out, any last comments or encouraging words for your audience, the ones that tune in, the ones that are grieving?
Well, first, and also go get a journal, document, because slow progression is still progression in my book. Also always know, if nobody else, Tiffany Talks is a place that we has an open space for people. Don't never think that you're out here in the world alone. There's value in you. There's purpose in you. There's purpose in your pain. I know you may not see that today, but I've been through some dark days, but God has not felt me yet, nor has he left me yet. So I just want to encourage people on this holiday season to definitely do the things that brings love into your life. Surround yourself about love, and through love, love conquers all, and through love comes healing. You don't have to stay broken. You can definitely be whole again. And that's it.
And where can your viewers purchase a copy of your book? Can you tell us again?
Yes, you can. You can also purchase at Amazon.com, but you also can purchase at ckmacg.com. Hold on.
That's it.
.com/products. So, and it's also, the link is in my bios on IG, also on YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. And definitely, this is the first part of a 4-part series. The next part will be next Tuesday at the same time, where we really tackle this thing that's grief in 2021, not just for the holidays, but through life. A lot of families are grieving, and this is one of the ways that we want to continue to give back to the viewers.
Yes, of course. And if there are any topics, and this is for the viewers that we have out there, that you would like to see on the show, just send us a note. You can message us or send an email to cmonroe@ckmacg.com, or you can always contact us on ckmacg.com and just drop us a note. As Tiffany always state, thank you for listening to Tiffany Talks, where you have real conversations, and you're definitely a part of the conversation. As she stated, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, like and share this video. And we want you to have a wonderful evening. Thanks for tuning in.
And thank you to Miss Cheryl Monroe for hosting tonight.
Culture TV is the place to be. offering a variety of your favorite movies, food and travel shows, urban documentaries, and even independent shows as well. All on your Roku and Fire TV. Yeah, I know, all that sounds way too good to be true. Well, what if I told you it was?
You know, it really makes me laugh. I used to think that my life was a tragedy.
So get ready, get prepared. What do you have to do? Do you have to read some books? Do you have to work out a little more? Do you have to meditate a little more? But whatever you do, be prepared for the purpose.